Welcome to the Fall 2026 New Jersey Film Festival Filmmaker Q&A series. Today we have a wonderful filmmaker out of Chicago, Illinois, and we're going to be talking about his wonderful documentary about the haunted house industry called The Fright Stuff. And his name is Mike Meyer. Hi, Mike. Thanks for joining
Hey,
us.
hey, Al, how's it going?
Everything is good. We're really excited to show your film. And I was just chatting with you before we started recording. Please tell our audience how you got involved in making this film.
So how we got involved in making the film, and I guess how we got connected to the haunted attraction industry in the first place, is my producing partner Chris Sato and I were making our first film, which was a narrative film, back in 2011,
Mhm.
and we needed a film in a cave. And we were, it's like, okay, well, we were all doing it indie style. We didn't really have the budget to create a cave. So we're looking at some natural settings. They're like, absolutely not. There's some concern about the health of the bat population and
Yeah,
us
yeah.
filming in there. So we weren't going to go film our sort of action horror comedy thing in some real caves. But one of our extras came up to us and mentioned, "Hey, I work for a haunted attraction. We work for a haunted house,
Mm.
and they actually have a series of rooms that are caverns. They're made out of spray foam and wood." And they're indoors, and you have power and indoor plumbing and all sorts of other, great amenities if you're doing indie film. So we reached out to the owner, John LaFlamboy,
Mm.
star of the Fright Stuff, um, and got permission from him to use it, and really jived with the people there. Like the sort of elbow grease DIY indie spirit was definitely alive and well with them. Actually, also found out that they made films as well,
Mm.
and then also found out that John had gone to the same college as Chris and I,
Wow.
and had started his first haunted attraction as a fundraiser. He was a theater student,
Mhm.
and had used it as a fundraising opportunity for the theater department. And so we just became friends, and did a bunch of projects together, tried to pitch a show to television. But ultimately, that led to us doing a web series with him.
Mm.
Have been doing that for the past, wow, it's year 12
Wow.
now. Yeah. And the Fright Stuff was sort of it was birthed out of the web series because we've been doing it for a couple of years, and we're meeting great people all throughout the country doing the same thing. And we're like, it'd be great to be able to tell the larger story. And at the same time, John had finally gotten land uh, on which to build what he considered his dream haunted house, Hell's
Hell's
Gate
Gate.
haunted
Hell's Gate.
house. Yeah, so that was
Very
sort of the
cool.
genesis of the whole project.
But you didn't shoot at Hell's Gate for your project, right? That was some other cave that he had.
No, that was Statesville Haunted Prison, which is no longer open, but it's
Mm.
also featured in the documentary.
Right, right.
That's where he had, and that was, he brought in people he had gone to college with. He had an agreement with the people who had, run it was a farm, and yeah, they just, it's like, hey kids, let's put on a show, and did that for the better part of 2 decades.
I found your film fascinating. It provides a history of how the haunted house industry came to be. I was fascinated by, the genesis of it all, kind of started in England. I have so many notes that I took while I was watching your film. You interviewed a ton of people, and I
Mhm.
just thought, the old mill rides was really fascinating where they would transform these, I guess, like coal mills or I don't know, mines or something like that, and they were able to transform them into these haunted house amusement. I guess you could call them parks back then. And then I also
Mhm.
wrote down that Lisa Morton is one of your star interviews as well,
Hmm.
since she wrote this history of Halloween. So we get a little bit about the Halloween history as well. And
Hmm.
then I was fascinated to find out about the JCs doing this thing to raise money. So the nonprofit industry also is involved. And while I was watching your film, and as I mentioned to you prior to our starting this interview, our formal interview, is that the haunted house industry really reminds me of the film festival industry. Film festivals take place at a finite time, and there's a lot of wannabes who think they can make a buck doing a film festival. And I've been running this thing for 45 years, and I always tell my friends and people who ask me, well, do you make any money? I think janitors make more money than I do running the film festival. It's a labor of love. It's something that you do for fun. So I saw a lot of parallels between the haunted house industry and film festivals. But my question to you is, what was the most surprising thing that you learned while you were making this film?
I think in and amongst the surprising things, because I had going into the film, I had sort of a general base knowledge.
Mm,
But like over the course of making the film, I was surprised at just how much of at least the American tradition of haunted attractions is
mm,
rooted in it, it's rooted in community.
right.
It's rooted in, you know, very self-made, self-generated things,
Mm,
especially, sort of living in an era, especially now, where if you are engaging with any kind of entertainment,
mhm,
it's usually tied to a big national or international corporation. There's some kind of IP attached.
mhm,
And it's really heartening to see that obviously, this is how they are now, but it's also how they were started.
mm,
They're taking inspiration from, obviously some well known, already established institutions,
mm,
but a lot of it was just created out of how do we get kids from vandalizing houses on Halloween?
mm,
And the sort of confluence of let's put together these neighborhood, engagements and, also be inspired by, these larger things like, okay, like Disney or Six Flags or something like that. And then, over time, see how the deck is shuffled together. And for as big as things get, like it's really hard. It was really heartening to see that all these big things were just a lot of them rooted in like a hey, let's put on something for the kids, let's put on something for the neighborhood,
yeah.
and it just kind of grew from that.
I mean, yeah, they're mom and pop operations. These people, whether it be the quote home haunted houses, which are where people transform their own homes, and have people come through, which is the kind of amateur version of the haunted house industry, and other people who have come together, like the LaFlamboy family. I mean, it's not just John; it's his brother Kyle, I think, or
Mm-hmm.
and there's cousins involved, and it's a labor of love. It's a vision of wanting the thrill of scaring people, but also it has a lot of entertainment value. And I think that's what your documentary talks about, that, today haunted houses are looking for the gore factor and alienating people. And I learned that. I never knew about that. And the fact that you have to find the fine line to be able to entertain and still scare at the same time and not freak out your patrons. So I learned so much, and I wish I could find out more about Orton and Spooner's Ghost House and some of the
Mm-hmm.
other things that I wrote down. Philip Morris, and not the cigarette guy.
Yeah, notably not the cigarette guy, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the Philip Morris especially. I'm actually this is in the works right now, but we
Mm,
spent a lot of time with the Morris family
mm.
putting this together, and we're going to see if we can put together something specifically on him because he is a really interesting
Yeah,
guy.
I mean, you could do that with just about everybody in your film. I mean, I
Oh,
think, I mean,
100%.
the people that are prominently profiled, I mean, there's lots of these all over. I found that it was mostly male dominated, though. I mean, is
Yeah.
that something you found as well, or
I feel like over it's, you know, like a lot of these things, it's things, the tide is turning.
mm,
It definitely is. And one thing that's been really notable, I think a lot of times people might think of these as like, well, these are very sort of rural red state coded
right, right.
things,
That's not
and
true.
yeah, no, and but you know that not it's not to say that it isn't well represented. It
Right, right.
is,
It is.
but because of that, and because it, quite frankly, it was an industry that was spearheaded by a lot of, old guys, cis old guys from a certain generation.
Mm,
And so there is some sort of like the gatekeeping that comes with that. But
mhm,
from what I've seen, as I've been doing this over the years, it's become a more welcome space for um, female haunt owners.
mm,
She had one person we interviewed very briefly, Sydney Neal,
mm,
who used to run Rocky Point Haunted House in Utah. Um, we kind of had limited material from her, but she's a legend,
mm, mm,
and and you see a lot more female haunt owners on the ascent.
mm,
It's become it's a huge queer space now,
mm,
which is really, really heartening.
mm.
And I guess what I really love about it, and it's also not a binary. It's not like here's the conservative one,
Right.
made on a farm, all this other stuff,
Mm,
and here's the theater troupe.
mm,
It's not two lanes. It's in a lot of cases it's one.
mhm,
And what I love about it is it's like you have sort of like okay, here's the, you know, like older guy, has his, kind of red hat politics and whatever.
mhm,
And then you have the younger purple haired, kid coming out of theater school, and they're working shifts together and they get along really well.
mm,
And they're not changing each other's minds about a thing.
mhm,
And I don't like it's probably, a drop in the bucket in terms of what it means for the larger world.
mhm,
But you do see these like points of contact for empathy.
mm,
You know, it's like, oh, well, no, we're coming together in a really organic way to achieve a common goal,
mm.
which is really, really cool.
And that's the other thing I found really heartening about your film, the fact that you get these people from all different walks of life interacting with each other. And there's a real festive atmosphere and collegiality that was really heartwarming to me. I like that a lot. And I think that's also one of the great things about your documentary, which kind of seamlessly and smoothly moves from focusing on John initially, then we get the history. And as we're watching the history unfold, then we get to see some of the tragedies that have happened because Hell's Gate 1 was a disaster, well, without saying too much so folks can see it
Mm-hmm.
on themselves. But then we get to find out a little bit about the people that are actually in this. And that's kind of how your film kind of unfolds, which is really wonderful because you get to see how they are real truly a team, and I think they and the other thing I wanted to know about, and your movie also points out, is about what if somebody's really drunk and they come into one of these spaces and they try to trash the place. Do they have security at these haunted houses?
Absolutely,
Mm,
absolutely. And what you see in the movie in terms of like customer interactions, and we do touch on that a little bit. Um, a lot of these, especially at John's place, they've gotten really, really good
mm,
at being able to de-escalate
mm,
these situations.
mm,
And it is a huge part of how these are run. John is really candid about the fact of like, obviously from an entertainment perspective, we're developing things, we're trying to stay new and and innovative. And in a lot of cases, we're going to stay hush hush as to how do we do one thing or the other,
Right, of course.
as you'd imagine, but never when it comes to security. If ever we discover something that helps improve the customer safety experience,
Mm,
we're going to share it with everybody
mm.
because, yeah, I mean, those, like, as you can imagine, that is something that happens all the time,
Yeah, yeah.
so whether intentionally or unintentionally, sometimes it's, guy coming in with a belly full of rum and like some bad intent,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and then sometimes sometimes it can literally just be, I got scared and my reflex
Right, right.
was to let your right go,
Yeah,
and, uh, but yeah, I mean, there are really, tight systems in place to deal with that kind of thing because you know, it is a factor. It is a thing you deal with every night.
I see that you did this series on the web. I mean, I could see so many spin-offs of your this kind of documentary that you have to be, more specific on certain aspects. And I wonder if you're thinking of doing that. I mean, just the Philip Morris thing seems like that would be a spin-off. Is there other options for you to kind of keep expanding this, or is it something that you feel has you want to move on to do something else?
I mean, I always want to keep at least a toe in this world because I love it. I
Mm,
mean, I was at Hell's Gate last night.
wow.
We were doing promo work
Mm,
for this upcoming season. And yeah, I think there are a debt there, there are a ton of places that I'd love to explore within this world. Like,
mhm.
we talked a little bit about Phil Morris. There are some people in the um, JC space who we tried everything short of hiring private investigators to find these people who, started setting who were heavily involved in not starting, but codifying the whole process of fundraising. Um, but yeah, I mean, this whole thing started as, I mean, it's just an engine, right?
Right,
And the media that comes out of it is kind of incidental. Like, the film is by no means the first thing we ever did within this
right.
world, and even as of a couple weeks ago, someone had reached out because they had seen the Fright Stuff. It's like, I think that would make a great television show. I'm like, yeah, we got some pitch material. We've been trying to figure
I
out how to
mean,
do
yeah,
that for a
it's
long time.
it's very obvious to me too, and I think that's definitely something you should pursue. But I guess most of I mean, so many interviews you were able to use. I think I wrote it down. Oh, there's this convention, I guess, that happens.
Hmm.
Where is I wrote it down? Well, you're going to tell me, I guess, in a second. But
Yeah, where's the convention?
yeah, where's the primary place where you interviewed all of these people?
So that is Transworld,
Transworld. That's
haunted
it.
attraction show.
Right,
That
right,
is in St. Louis.
right.
So, and there are several others around the country, even put on by this particular organization. But this is the hub. This is sort of considered the primary.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, it's a fun place to be. One of the first places that ever screened, the Fright Stuff ever screened,
Well,
was there.
it makes
Yeah, you
sense.
want to talk about preaching directly to the choir. But yeah, I mean, it is such a fun place to be.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, 3,000 people go, thousands of vendors, and I mean, it seems like that was the perfect place, and it's not too far from where you're based, so it logistically made sense to do that. But it looks like you traveled around quite a bit. How long did the whole film take to make?
From when we officially, so we had some footage in the can
Mm,
to start, that we pulled from archive, but from official start,
mm,
when we had said, "Hey, we are making a film
mm.
and we are going to start right now," to our first public screening was 9 years.
Wow.
Hmm.
So it is a labor of love for you too, then.
Hmm. Oh, 100%. And it was this kind of, I don't want to say clunky process, but it was, and I'm sure a lot of filmmakers here that are at your festival, especially if they're doc makers,
Yeah, yeah.
can attest to, like, hey, I got a head full of steam and some money, and I ran as far as I could at it. And then for one reason or another, we had to put it on pause. Or, like we had a good 2 years and then I had a kid and then we had a pandemic. And,
Yeah.
but I guess, what was and you could say like, well, there are definitely more efficient ways of making a movie, but one of the best ways about doing it over such a long period of time is it did give you, once you start putting the word out that this is what you're doing,
Mm.
the trickle of people who come back, and you're able to find material that you didn't even think of before,
Mhm.
and avenues of information you didn't really consider. And I'm really glad it took as long as it did,
Mm.
you know, and it's also like, I'm not going to say there wasn't, because it like, there is obviously we are setting this up and we are trying to accomplish this goal. But there was also like I don't know, for a while, like, okay, well, this is also going to be the thing that in my spare time, it's like, I go and, do woodworking in the garage or something.
I got you.
So yeah, and it makes it a little bit easier because Chris, my producing partner, and I, we own a video production company.
Mhm.
So at least the base cost of doing everything was very minimal.
So
Um,
you're just like George Romero. George Romero started doing corporate industrials, and that helped pay
yes,
the bills for him to do Night of the Living Dead.
I'm so glad you brought up George and the latent image and image 10. That was my inspiration for doing what I wanted to do, because it was, and like coming up and wanting to be a filmmaker. It never a question since I was 12 that this is what I wanted to do.
That's great.
But there was also a little part of me that was just very hesitant and insecure about like, well, I'm going to give myself entirely over to art,
Mhm.
which from a financial standpoint has its risks. Uh,
That's true.
but I was, and when start like, a lot of friends of mine and I kind of were doing the same thing. Like, okay, well, we're going to make our films, but we're going to find ways to make a buck on the side. And I think it was the big Dawn of the Dead DVD release were the first place I heard about
Hmm.
Image 10 and Latent Image, and what they were able to do. Like, we're going to do a soap commercial during the week, and then we're going to go to, go out to this
Heaven City, Heaven City,
house. Yeah.
Heaven City. Yeah,
Yeah.
I teach that film, so
Oh, really?
I do.
Oh, cool.
I teach cult films in American culture, and it's one of the classics that I show.
It's so, I love watching that back because you can see it's, I don't know, talk about just like a, just a dense nugget of film history where it's like, here's the confluence of drive-in horror, of this almost like new wavy art house approach to things, because that's who they were in their hearts.
Yeah, yeah,
And then but also like the practical sides of things, and like, oh well, why did they cut it together this way? Obviously, the I think the Criterion disc has a great essay on that. That
yeah.
was it. Have you read Partially Devoured,
I
that new
have.
book on it?
I
Oh,
have.
so great.
There's so
Um,
much information about that film, and that they were just babies. They didn't realize they left the copyright notice off the damn film, and
oh,
lost all of they lost all the rights to that film. That's why when you would check out and the VHS rack at your supermarket, you would always see Night of the Living Dead because it fell out of copyright.
it, and part of those 50 horror movies on 3 DVD
Yeah,
sets
yeah.
during the 2000s. And it's why I really appreciate that Criterion release. It's like, oh, I get to see it look good
Good.
because it always looked like it was left in a trunk.
That's
Um, but then also like there's the two sides of it where it's like, well, that is incredibly sad, and what a missed opportunity and everything else. Then there's the other side of it, like just how much of that ease of access contributed to its success.
yeah.
Not just that, like, not just as its success, but like how it established itself as like this, cultural touch point.
It's very true.
Um,
It's the granddaddy of the zombie film. I mean, there's other zombie films before it, but it sets up
mhm.
Walking Dead and all of these other, 28 Days Later and that whole franchise. So it's really a
Oh
wonderful
yeah.
thing. And I see a lot of similarities. And when you just mentioned that you have your own production company, I know you're doing stuff for clients, and then on the weekends and in your spare time, you're working on this project, which is really, really
And
commendable and wonderful.
and I tell you, and if any young filmmakers are watching, or up and comers, or you're trying to get started, like it's been so great for me over the years because I feel with making larger feature films, or even with shorts, a lot of times you're just waiting for the opportunity to do it.
Mm.
And unlike a lot of like, we aren't painting pictures, we can't just go, in a lot of cases, we can't just necessarily go in the garage and get started. I guess you can on your phone,
Mm, mm,
100%.
mhm.
But being able to do this at a certain scale over and over and over and over and over again, whether it's a film, whether it's like, it's like, oh, here's a corporate documentary, here's a haunted house promo, here's a this, here's a that, whatever you just strengthen these muscles over time
Right.
to where, like, I don't know. I can't foresee myself having done it any other way because it provides this, you know, it
And
just
out,
provides the opportunity to do it over, like, like it's the film is practice, I guess.
it's an outlet too for you, it's something that you can do to that doesn't have a client. Well, you might have a client involved, right? I mean, John is one of the executive producers, and so you have
Yeah.
you have you have to please not just yourself in this case, but mostly yourself, I would say.
Yeah. And to that end, like, John is a collaborator and a client. And obviously, that's something that project to project you have to audit because how much influence do they have on one thing or another.
Right, right.
But over time, this has been he's been a great person to work with.
Mhm.
He is probably, more than anyone I've worked with, knows how to work with people
Right.
in a creative capacity. um it's, and like with us, it was, it's very hands off. It's like, and but also very encouraging and enriching.
Right.
And yeah, if obviously, if things, make you look at, in some way in a bad light, it's like, sometimes it might take a couple of days for him to get used to it. Like, oh, okay. But it's never been like, oh, you got to take that out.
Right, right. He seems very magnanimous. So I think that he's very I think he's very secure in what he does, and it
Mhm.
shows, and he serves as a model for the people he works with.
100%. And I mean, you see it in the movie, like,
Mm.
I saw it last night at, at midnight as we're wrapping up, and, we're putting stuff away, and, we've been shooting for 12 hours or whatever. And, here he is at the center of all this activity. We're doing a promo. People are doing the bet, like they're putting in massive hours.
Mm.
He's getting over a stomach parasite,
Oh
and
my
half of
God.
his, yeah. Oh, speaking of, if you watch the movie, you'll know John's relationship to weather. Um, but they just had, with all the tornadoes that
Right,
went through
right.
the Midwest recently, had a lot of trees go down on this property,
Uh-oh.
had a ton of damage. One of the big things that curtailed us last night was the fact that they had only just gotten power back,
Oh.
and the rickety little road, part of the experience is you literally get on a bus a mile away and you drive on a bus on this rickety old creepy road,
Yeah, yeah,
which for aesthetics, amazing. For
yeah.
logistics, not so much, especially when that's your only access point. So there was trees down all over the place, and people literally couldn't get to work to
To do
build what we
that.
needed to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean, get to see miniature versions of the fortitude you see in the movie, like
Mm.
all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Very cool. All right. Well, we're running out of time. Let's share screen and show our audience how they can get tickets and stuff.
All
Fascinating. I could
right.
talk to you all day.
Yeah, same here.
All right, so here's our website. This is the place where everybody would go and get all their information from when the internet started breaking and things changed from the pandemic. So
Hmm.
when you get to njfilmfest.com, which is our normal website, this is our homepage. You'll see that there's a number of things on there. Not much, but at the very top, it says Fall 2026, New Jersey Film Festival. You want to absolutely click on this tickets and info button because once you do, whammo, here is our website because we are a hybrid film festival, which means that we show films online and in person. During the pandemic, we had only online screenings for about a year and a half. And we developed this new audience, and we have people from all over the country, all over the world, actually, that watch our movies. And we didn't want to shut them out once we went back to in person. So we do a series of in person shows and online shows. And some of the films are only available online. So when you get to this page, there's all these red buttons and you absolutely want to click on all of them. The schedule one is a kind of vanilla, just text-based schedule, so you can scroll down and you can see the Fright Stuff is playing on Saturday, September 12th. It's online for 24 hours starting at midnight, and it's available for 24 hours. And let's say you start watching it at 11 p.m. on the 12th. You still have 24 hours to finish watching it, which is a really great feature. And then there's an in-person screening at 7 p.m. Your film is going to be playing with a short called Help Me, which is perfect complement to your film. And Matt Ritchie is the director, and there's some local filmmakers that were part of this film too. So we've sold a lot of
Cool.
tickets for your screening already, and we
Oh
hope
wow.
a really nice turnout in person wise. Okay, so that's the schedule part. You click on tickets. This is where you would actually buy tickets. And so if you kind of hover over one of the images, you'll see, this pre-order now and learn more. And if you want to buy tickets, you hit pre-order now. It takes about 20 seconds, 30 seconds to register. Because if you've never watched any films with us, you have to do that. And then you can buy tickets, but you can only buy one at a time because we need a stream email for each ticket. So it's a pain if you want to buy multiples, but that's the only way we can do it using this system. All right, so that's the ticket page. You want to go back to the festival site. You can buy an all access pass. Oh, why is it doing that? That's strange. I got to fix that. Well, it's $100 for everything. And then if you click on the film guide, you have pages for each one of the films that we're screening. So you can click on this and get more info. And you can also buy tickets from this page as well. You can go to the menu, and the menu will give you all sorts of options to check out stuff as well. We have a couple of free filmmaking workshops we're offering, and we'll also be doing an AV concert that should be a lot of fun. All right,
Cool.
oh, tickets are $15 for each program, and that includes the in-person one and online when they're both offered. And Mike, we have people that watch the film during the day.
Hmm.
And then they come in the evening to watch it on the big screen or hang out with the filmmaker when they're there as well. So we have some true cinephiles as part of our festival, which is a wonderful thing.
That's amazing. That's a gift.
It really is. Well, we've been doing this for 45 years and we started as a revival program. Then we did
Oh,
first run, second run art house movies. And then we became a true film festival with call for entries in the 90s. And Scorsese did a benefit for us and that kind of helped us take off. So we've been
oh
around for a
wow.
while. We're one of the longest running film festivals in New Jersey. And we're really, really proud to show your movie to our audience.
Oh, thank you. I'm proud to present it with you. You guys got a great festival.
Thank you so much. It was lovely hanging out with you. Stick around while we say goodbye to our audience, and I'll give you a couple more adieus.
All right.
Let's stop recording.